Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is All in the Charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, click the bell icon for notifications to know when I go live every single weekday. Glad to be back. Glad to be back. Was off last week. Glad to see everybody's already commenting on some questions that they have. As you guys are probably aware, I was on business travel last week. I was in, don't mind sharing, I was up in Minnesota last week, so far away from South Florida. Actually, tidbit of information on my trip to Minnesota, I'm hitting the bottle early this week, given how the market's doing. But in all seriousness, it's an interesting color. This is a whiskey that I had tried at a bar there. It's an Irish whiskey, Sexton. Very good whiskey, very mild, not expensive, tastes very good, just easy to sip on. Eating chimichangas. Very nice, Evan. Very nice. I'm going to give that a little heart emoji. Kevin, let's fucking go. Miroslav, if we have time, I will take a look at both tokens. If I don't have time, because I have quite the ramble to go on what is most prevalent in the market to pay attention to. If I don't have time to answer your questions today, Miroslav, we'll get into it tomorrow. And the reason I say that is, I don't want to provide too much fluff at the top of the live stream this evening. I kind of want to get into things. There's a lot of serious price action that we need to talk about in terms of what's going on in the markets with Bitcoin and crypto. I want everyone to stay really abreast and on top of, abreast. I want everyone to stay atop of what's going on. And there's really a balance here, right? There's really a balance at this pivotal point in the market to make sure that I do an effective job at communicating here. And that is, we don't want to take light of the situation that's going on in the charts. And I also don't want to paint a grave picture as well, right? I don't want to make things seem dire because they're not dire. And I also don't want to take the price action lightly and pretend that probabilities aren't suggesting certain things. So we're going to give a realistic outlook in terms of what I see kind of playing out over the handful of weeks and months to come here. Irish whiskey, very good. So, it's just very mild. Yeah, very mild, very good. Easy to sip. So I hope everyone had a nice weekend. Real quick, before we do get into the charts, I did want to make everyone aware. Just dropped a new Caspa video that came out today. There's at least one Bitcoin video I'm going to put out, maybe two. Again, just a lot of critical updates that I want to make sure that my audience is staying on top of. I also have a XRP video that I'm going to be putting out, a little bit of a different XRP video. It's going to be technical analysis driven, but at the beginning I give a little bit of a monologue that I think anyone who is in this market, even if you're not a fan of XRP, it would behoove you to pay attention to the words that I speak to at the very beginning of that video. I finished recording the monologue. I haven't actually done the technical analysis yet, but a little bit of passion there at the beginning of the video that I think everyone should pay attention to. It is 5 o'clock somewhere. It is 5 o'clock here. Welcome into everyone new tuning in. I've been staring at Microsoft Excel for literally the past 2.5 hours without getting up from my desk. So my eyes are sort of glazed over at the moment. Haven't really looked at the charts in the past couple hours. All right, so let's get into things. A lot of charts to cover here. What the hell is going on in the market, right? We're going to start off. Looks like this is on an 8-hour for some reason. We're going to start off with the 12-hour chart, okay? Now, if you guys, and it really would benefit you to do so, if you didn't check out the video, I published a video on August 21st, so that would be 1 week ago from today. The video was Bitcoin Time to Worry with a question mark. One of the things I spoke to, I'm actually going to be referencing that video quite a bit. There were a lot of things that I referenced in that video to pay attention to. This is a 12-hour chart. You guys know what I said about the 12-hour chart. We had this huge red body come down and close below the 200 simple moving average pink line. We have a death cross here. Now, the death cross to me isn't significant at the moment, but what did I say? I said two things. One, the more time we spend under here, it's bearish. We don't want to spend a lot of time under here. Ideally, last week, we would have had some sort of sharp reaction in price and started to jolt up in price. We didn't get that. It's Monday at the end of the day here, and we're still not seeing any price action come in. Price action on the 12-hour chart right now looks bearish, to say the least, okay? What we don't want to see happen, the second thing I had said, besides spending a lot of time down here, what we don't want to see happen is come up here, then roll over, and then come up and roll over and form these lower lows and lower highs. Those are the basic building blocks of a bearish narrative, okay? And that's going to make this death cross, if that does happen, that's going to make this death cross significant, okay? Again, I have a video out there where I study the history of this 12-hour chart, and what I speak to in that video is the fact that there's not a lot of historical data present within the chart of Bitcoin. And so one of the creative ideas that I came up with was to take a day, split it in half, and evaluate the historical significance of golden and death crosses on the chart. We have the death, again, we have the death cross, and it's not too concerning to me at the moment. But what is concerning is, unquestionably, this is still a bear pennant, okay? We have a bear pennant here, okay? And price is just hanging out down here. And if we do roll over, that is when it would concern me on this chart, because what that would mean to me, let me convey to you in layman's terms what that would convey. If we do roll over here, which I am heavily leaning towards for all the charts we're going to speak to, if we do roll over, we're going to spend a significant amount of time down here. This isn't something where we're just going to have some sort of sharp V-shaped recovery and recover within a couple weeks. That's not what's going to happen, okay? So this chart is not looking the brightest at the moment. Let's get into the daily. Again, and one of the things I spoke to on that video, when you see a candle body close on the daily get below the 200 simple moving average, we close below it. In the history of Bitcoin's chart, that is not a good sign. And I spoke to the statistical likelihood that unless we made some sort of sharp V-shaped recovery within a couple days, chances are we're going to roll over further, okay? Now, one thing I want to highlight as I'm going through these charts with you, because a lot of people aren't, I don't know how much of it is the way that I am explaining things, the language that I'm using, and sometimes people can't they can't properly filter the words that I'm saying to really, what am I trying to say here? Boy, this is what happens when you're live. Sometimes I feel that no matter how good of a job I think that I'm communicating things, people will either selectively listen to certain word choices that I'm using, or they basically just won't get the entire message. So I want to make this point to you perfectly clear. As we go through these charts, okay, and I convey to you the warning signs, because that's what they are, they're warning signs. There isn't anything in the charts, okay, that's telling me that our Elliott wave count, this whole fifth wave blow off top that I've been talking about since all the way mid to late last year, I've been talking about this since 2022. There isn't anything in the charts that I feel will put that in jeopardy, right? So really the concern for me, hear me out on this, the concern for me is short-term volatility to the downside that will have a lot of people searching for answers, not knowing what's going on, coming up with headlines to try to explain it, when really the charts are telling you that is what's most likely. It's going to weed out some people that otherwise won't be in the market when things really do start to go parabolic. But really, this will sort of delay things. That's the other thing, is that it's just going to push things out further into 2024, okay? If you asked me here today and you said to me, hey, CBG, you put out a video, if you've been paying attention, you put out a video and you had two hypotheses. One was for Bitcoin to have its blow off top this year, and one was going into the halving, around the halving. How do you feel about that? Well, increasingly with the price action that we've seen this month, I do not see Bitcoin having a blow off top this year. I do not see that happening. I would say that I don't even know that I would say I'm heavily leaning. What's up, Rashid? I don't even know that I would say I'm heavily leaning towards next year. I think it's a foregone conclusion almost that we're not going to have a blow off top this year. I don't see that happening. But it's also important to convey to you, we'll have to see how the next couple months pan out. I do not see at the moment my alternative hypothesis of us topping going into the halving or around the halving. I don't see that in jeopardy at the moment. We'll have to see how price kind of settles out in this next, we're at the end of August, we're at the beginning of September here. And September, that's the other thing to keep in mind. September historically is not a bullish month if you look at the monthly chart for Bitcoin in crypto. So if we do get this downside volatility that I am anticipating and leaning heavily towards, wouldn't surprise me one bit for September to end up being that month, right? So really, I want to choose my words carefully here, but I am cautiously awaiting to see how the next 4 to 6 weeks, really the next 4 to 6 weeks pan out. So just keep in mind, this is the key point that I want everyone to keep in mind as I'm going through these charts. There are several charts I'm going through with you guys that are giving us warning signs that we're going to see downside volatility, okay? That, depending how low we go, will be short to midterm consequences. It'll have consequences in the short to midterm. It does not, this is the second point, it does not, however, invalidate the macro structure. We still have higher highs and higher lows coming into the price, okay? When we look at the daily, right? Important point to convey here. When you look at the daily, we can see it even simpler on the weekly. We still have these higher lows, right? But the more we come down, if we really do come to some of the price levels I was communicating earlier on Twitter today, if we come down to this area, well, now we've taken out this higher low, right? So price, in a sense, is weaker. That structure that we were building is getting weaker, right? But if we maintain prices at this level, we still have a higher low relative to this $19,000 area, right? So we're still expressing a greater degree of strength than if we otherwise roll over and fall down to 18 or 17,000. Now we're taking out this higher low. Now this is going to take us longer to recover from, okay? So that's why I'm saying I want to wait to see how these next 4 to 6 weeks come in. What's up, Black Oil? Glad to see you in the house, brother. That's why I really want to wait to see how these next 4 to 6 weeks come in. Also keep in mind, never financial advice. You guys know I repeat this over and over again. This channel never offers financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. For me, for myself personally, I am, because the macro picture is still in place for me and there's nothing that's putting that in jeopardy that I see in the charts, I am salivating at the opportunity to accumulate at much lower valuations. I am going to have capital available to disperse into the market in September or in October. I'm going to have some that's going to go into Bitcoin, and I'm going to have some that will go into some selective alts. I'm going to have some buy limit orders set up. Because, again, when you've been here, it's funny because I've only been invested in this market for now 5.5 years, which is not a lot of time, but in crypto it is a lot of time. When you've been in this market for 5.5 years, you can just smell the opportunities on the horizon that are just presenting themselves as gifts, okay? I could be dead wrong, okay? But you just see these opportunities like the crash that occurred in 2020. Just these opportunities don't come around very often. So if we do get some sort of significant pullback and Bitcoin really does pull back, I tweeted out earlier and I'll explain why. If Bitcoin really does pull back to 22,500, 23,500, maybe even lower, that you're going to see, if you see a 10, 20, 30% correction in Bitcoin, you're going to see even deeper corrections in a lot of altcoins. It's just presenting you with opportunity, in my opinion, if you know what you're doing. So again, the daily, we're not seeing a lot of bullish price action come in here. We're hanging out down here. The more we hang out, underneath the 200 simple moving average, guys, it's very bearish in price action, not to mention the fact that it's a bear flag. I know what everyone has been saying about some bullish divergence on the RSI on the daily. Oh, we're at historic lows on the RSI. Yes, I don't disagree with that. But the important point to convey to you guys, as bullish as I am on this industry and as bullish as I am on the macro view, okay, I refuse to allow myself to be biased in my immediate view of the charts. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm seeing. I'm going to read the charts for what they are. First off, price is king. The price indicators can tell you one thing, but price is king, okay? Yes, some bullish divergence could play out in the charts. This is a lower time frame, though. This is a daily chart. The charts that really concern me are weekly views. They are higher time frame views. It's more significant what's going on some of these higher time frame views that we're going to get into and the price action than some bullish divergence that's on a daily chart. It's nice. Maybe we get a pop up. But again, a lot of these weeklies are telling me that even if we get a pop up and get rejected at the 200 around 27,500 or 400, that we're going to roll over and go lower. That's just what I see in the shorter term. Let's get into the weekly. Okay, this is the weekly chart. Again, we're not seeing follow through here in terms of getting a bounce to the upside. We're actually seeing follow through on the downside. But what we're seeing is weakness in the price. This is just very evident. Okay, a couple things concern me on the week. This is just a weekly chart for Bitcoin. First off, you have the MACD crossing down. The histogram is picking up dark red, right? We need this thing to lighten up. It needs to lighten up a bit in red, and we need to flatten out and begin to curl up. But look at the stochastic RSI. We're at 0, guys. Remember, we always talk about that 20 trigger line. We always want to see that stochastic RSI above 20. It is at 0. There is literally no momentum in this stock, or in this crypto, sorry. There is no momentum in Bitcoin at the moment. The RSI is at 45. 45. Now, there's a couple key levels. That's the other thing that concerns me. There's a couple key levels on the RSI. I don't have them all drawn out here. I'll have to maybe get that in a different video. But I do know the fact that we've dropped to 45. That is also concerning. You know, the other chart I didn't look at ahead of the live stream, we had a 2-week candlestick close as well. You can see we're at 48. I bet you 50 is a key level on RSI. I didn't chart it out, but 55. Yeah, that 55, I'm not going to chart it out with you guys at the moment just to save time. But on the RSI, the other thing that concerns me is I know around that 55 to 50 area is a key level on the RSI for the 2-week chart for Bitcoin. Again, the relative strength is dipping below that. We're at 48. That is concerning to me. Look at the MACD. It looks like the MACD just wants to roll over again. We just made all of this significant progress. It was like that first quarter, right? January to March, you know, great work for the market. We had this strong rebound. We knew we were oversold. We were waiting for a bounce. Not surprising. It was great to see. Ever since then, it's honestly just been chippy choppy. We've continued to make progress. You can see January, March, right in here. You see how January through March, this time frame right here, this was significantly bullish price action. Ever since then, we've just been chipping and chopping away. Nothing super exciting. You guys, I know you have felt that emotionally in the market. It's been very dead in the market. It's been like a ghost town. And again, stochastic RSI, and it's more the thing that I want you to, I say this very frequently on the live stream. I don't want you to just understand what it is that concerns me or makes me excited about a chart. I want you to learn something on the channel as well. So on the 2-week time frame, because the 2-week time frame is a higher time frame than the weekly chart, what we're seeing on some of these price indicators and on price action is more significant. So the fact that the RSI is below 50 to 55, the fact that the stochastic RSI, now we're not at 0, but we have a negative cross and we're heading towards 20. I do not want to see the stochastic RSI on the 2-week go below 20. If we go back in time and we look at the times when the stochastic RSI has had a cross down below 20, probably don't want to take a look at that price action with me because it's not very bullish, okay? But you can see that you can just see right now we're chipping and chopping around. There's a 50 simple moving average there. But let's get back to the weekly real quick. Before I get back to I'm going to get to the 2 main charts that really do concern me in a moment here. And I'll also share with you why I came up with a price range between 22.5 to 23.5. Evan, you're blowing up the comments. I see you have a lot of comments there, but I haven't had a chance to read them all. I appreciate the engagement. I'll get to them in a moment, my friend. Don't be a comment hog, Evan. Don't be a comment hog. But I do appreciate the engagement. What else did I want to say on this 200 on this 100 weekly? Yeah, the only thing, again, I just try to keep it stupid simple. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, right? We have this downward area of resistance. Okay, look at this. We're just we're creating lower highs. This is bearish, right? Bearish, bearish, bearish. Dump. Now we're under this 200 SMA. I hate the fact that we're under this 200 SMA. I really want to see us get back above this 200 SMA. Also keep in mind, everything that I talk about on this channel is probabilistic in nature. There's no reason that the highest probability of scenarios needs to play out. There's a reason. I was trying to think of a way to say this before the live stream. There's a reason that probabilities exist. Think about what a probability is. You have, say, 100 scenarios, right? 100 scenarios. This one's near and dear to my heart because I've been having something playing out in my own personal life that was supposed to be a small motherfucking probability, and then you realize that small probabilities can play out, unfortunately. So let's say you have 100 scenarios, right? 100 scenarios. And, you know, let's talk about flipping a quarter, right? Heads and tails, okay? And let's say you flipped it 100 times, and that's actually a bad situation. A bad example of what I want to go with that. You have 100 scenarios, okay? You have 100 scenarios, and the Philadelphia Eagles have played the Dallas Cowboys, okay? And the Philadelphia Eagles have beaten the Dallas Cowboys 65 of 100 games, okay? So they have the Eagles, when they play the Cowboys based on 100 games, there's a 65% probability, okay, 65 over 100, that the Eagles are going to beat the Cowboys when they play them. So on that 101st game, the Eagles play the Cowboys, you look at the odds, you bet on it, you're like, I'm putting money down. I don't bet on sports, by the way. I don't gamble at all. Although I am in crypto, some people would say that's gambling, but so is the stock market. It's educational in nature. Anyway, come on. We can all laugh. We can all laugh and find things. We all need to find humor in life. But on that 101st game, what happens is the Dallas Cowboys crush the Eagles. They beat them, right? It hurts my heart to say that. But you look at the probabilities and you're like, there was a 65% probability that the Eagles were going to beat the Cowboys. Like, I don't understand. Well, guess what? What makes up a probability? 35 occurrences that going this way and 65 that going this way, right? So what I'm trying to say to you is there's no certainties. I'm just telling you the highest probability based on what I'm assessing in the charts. This is literally what I do all day as an actuary, okay? No certainties, just probabilities, right? So the probability is that the more we hang out below the 200 simple moving average on the weekly, it is very bearish. And if we don't pop up above the 200 soon, like literally this week, next week, I don't have an exact week on it, this week, next week, soon, we're going to roll over. And again, based on what I am seeing in the charts, what I am anticipating is some retest at least of the 200 and perhaps then rolling over. Or maybe we potentially get above it temporarily and then roll over. Why do I sound so bearish on the shorter to midterm price action? Why do I think prices are going to roll over? Well, this was a unique chart I was attempting to come up with. I'm not sure if I want to spend time talking about this or not, but this is not a good chart. This one we'll get to. Let's look at our first weekly chart. Let's focus on price action. This is the Williams alligator. The only important thing you need to keep in mind is we want the green above the red above the blue, okay? And the price action typically, if you study the history of the charts, once we have this positive cross as it's shown here, not only do we get a meteoric rise in price, but the black line, which is the price action for Bitcoin USD, it doesn't even like to go below the red line. You can see that right now we're below the blue. Okay? And the green is crossed below the red, and it looks like the red wants to go below the blue. This is not bullish. This is a warning sign that we're going to see a drop further. Okay? When we get these negative crosses, when you see these start to negatively cross and the price is all the way down here, we have a higher probability of seeing price rolling over further. It doesn't mean that when you click off this channel and you leave, stay with me. It doesn't mean that when you leave this channel, you should start searching for all the clickbait fear porn on YouTube telling you Bitcoin is going to 10,000 or 15,000. No, I do not believe Bitcoin is going to 10,000 or 15,000. No, that's not what I'm saying. But this is telling me, hey, caution flag, we're probably going to see more downside before we continue going up. If we go to the ADX DI, and I always confuse which indicator is which, but the only important thing to keep in mind is how to read the indicator, okay? Look at what's going on with the indicators. Let's actually take off the ADX for a moment. Let's take this off. Just focus on the red and green lines. You want the green above the red and the 20 trigger line. You want that green to stay above the 20 trigger and the red to be below the 20 trigger. Look what's going on. This is the exact opposite of what you want to see. We had look at this bullish momentum here. Look at how wide this mouth was, where the green was above the red, right? Where we had all this bullish price action. Now, we've completely negated that. I misspoke there. We haven't completely negated it. But what we're starting to do is negatively cross. And when we get negative crosses, we get further downside in price. It doesn't need to play out. But again, these are all warning signs. If we take off the DI and we put on the ADX, we want the ADX up here. We don't want it to cross below 20. Anytime you start getting this thing below 20, look what happened when we got the ADX positive cross here all the way up at 20. We had this huge run in price, right? When we went below 20, we got all this negative price action, okay? So again, the ADX is also screaming to us, hey, caution flag, caution flag. Fun fact, I'm rubbing my left ankle. You know, you would think if I'm going to injure myself, I would injure myself in the gym, right? Well, we can all be clumsy sometimes. I was walking around my place with these damn sandals on, and I over-treaded. I don't know what I did, but my foot went to the side, and the side of my ankle, like on my foot, is like, it's no bueno. No bueno. It's a little sore, so it's difficult to really stand on it. I've been trying to ice it twice a day. That is the key. If you guys ever get an injury like that, ice it twice a day, 10, 15 minutes. I might even ice it 3 times a day. Anyway, all of these indicators here are just spelling concern. Now, let me get you to the one that is quite possibly the most concerning chart that I'm looking at. Of all the ones we just looked at, these are all concerning items for me. Then we're going to get into where I think price will gravitate towards. If we do see a correction, it's not a guarantee. I'm not telling you what's going to happen. I never tell you on this channel what's going to happen. I'm just interpreting the charts to tell you what's most likely. We just turned green on the Gaussian channel and look what happened. I mean, this is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate to see the Gaussian channel turn green. I had someone tweet out today that, yay, the Gaussian channel's turned green, we're bullish. I don't disagree with you. YC, I just saw you drop a comment. What's up, brother? I don't disagree with you that it's good for the long term, but you're missing an important fact. When you study the Gaussian channel, what you realize is when we re-enter the Gaussian channel with a candle body close, it is very bearish for price action. Again, go back to the Bitcoin video that I published 1 week ago from today on August 21st. We have seen significant downside in Bitcoin when we re-enter the Gaussian channel in green. Now, my one hope, and I hate to say the word hope here, my one hope is that because we literally just turned green, I was thinking about this. What might be different this time? Because every time we've entered it, right, when we have turned from red to green, you see how we turned red to green here, and in 2019, let's just do something. Let's take a examination of price. God, I want to sit down. This is the first time I've done a live stream where I just want to sit down. My damn foot. Let's do an examination of price. I haven't done this ahead of the live stream, but we're going to take a look at this together. So when we turned green, we got a candle body close 112 days later here, and then you saw we had a significant crash here, right? when we turned green here, you can, I don't even need to draw this out. You can see this was like over a year, right? Until whenever that was. Now here, what I'm trying to say is we turned green and we got a candle body close within 14 days. So my hope, and I hate to use that word, but my hope is this time really is different. And because we just turned green, even though it's not bullish and we've re-entered here, I have this green line drawn at the top of the Gaussian channel at 28,300. That's ideally where we need to get the hell out of here. My hope is that whatever downside we do potentially see, it's much more minimal in nature, given that we literally just turned green. So reading this signal is perhaps this time a little bit different, because the Gaussian channel just turned green versus being green for several months or even well over a year. I hope that makes sense. But in times past, when we have re-entered the channel, we have gone well below the bottom of this channel here at 20,500. And this is where I think things will deviate on this price a little bit. I don't see us deviating, even if we do see some sort of significant correction here. I don't see us largely deviating, even if we go as low as 18,000, 19,000, or who knows, 17,000. I don't see us deviating significantly from the bottom of this line, right? One line in the sand I really don't want to see get crossed. I really don't want to take out the bottom here at 19,500. This 19,000 wick here, I really want to see this guy hold up. I mean, even if we go lower than what I think will happen when we do correct, because again, I am leaning towards a short to intermediate correction. This isn't, when you click off this video, I want to make this point clear. Whatever correction we do potentially see, this isn't anything that's going to happen tomorrow. Don't walk away and be like, CBG's gone bear. First off, you've completely missed everything that I've spoken to on the live stream if you think that I'm bearish. You've completely missed everything that I've spoken to. CBG is bearish and we haven't dumped yet. He says we're going to dump and we haven't dumped. First off, I'm not bearish. Second, we're not going to dump. Third, any correction that we see in the broader macro perspective of a healthy Elliott wave is not going to occur tomorrow. This is something that if it does occur, will occur over the next handful of several weeks. It could occur next week. It could occur 4 weeks from now. I can't tell you that. I'm not Nostradamus. But a line in the sand I want to see hold is 19,000. It looked like 569. Ooh, 69. Don't know what that is. All right. Yeah, so we could come all the way even down to 20,000, 19,800. I could care less, but I really don't want to break 19,500. Now, where am I coming up with my support zones? This gets back to a chart that is a value-added chart I came up with. No one else has evaluated this. This is something I am bringing to you that no other content creators have spoken about. This is the 3-day, guys, and you know if you've been here for a while, I'm proud of this chart, and we're going to see if it holds true going into the end of this year. I'm proud of discovering this. This is the 3-day chart on Bitcoin. It's the 125 simple moving average. The main takeaway is after we've had significant price action below it, we get a candle body close above, we get a significant rise in price before we ever entertaining getting back to this level and closing below it, okay? And the other thing to keep in mind with this chart is once we do see that candle body close get above the 125 SMA on the 3-day, we can, and we did this back in 2020, we can even come down here. You can see there was a little bit of volatility. See this little bit of volatility here where we like to even entertain levels right at the 125, maybe a little bit below. We don't really like to deviate much from it. So what I am theorizing based on that, using this chart, and this is a moving average. So long as price sort of remains in this area, you can see we're starting to level out now. But this moving average is changing every single day, and especially every 3 days as new candlesticks print. You can see it's slowly starting to move up and kind of leveling out here, right? So the line is right around, we're just going to call it 23,500. You can see on your screen at the upper left there, it says 23,583 right here, okay? 583. But And keep in mind, I'm not saying that prices will come down and bounce right off it. We've seen in the past that we can see a little bit of volatility. We could get a wick below here. We could get a candle body closes a little bit below here and eventually recapture it. But this whole zone is an area I anticipate around 23,500 to hold. Where did I come up with 22,500? There's two reasons I signaled 22,500, okay? That's my wonderful dryer, if anybody can hear that beeping. The way I came up with 22,500 is, first off, it's a major area, not on this chart, I think it's more on the weekly, but it's a major area of price confluence I have identified in the past that I've spoken to, and it also represents a layer of margin or volatility to go below this line, okay? You can see right now it represents about a 4.5% movement down, but this is going to continue rising, and as we continue to rise maybe up towards here to this level, it's about 7%, right? So maybe we see something a little bit below there, but really 23.5, 22.5, that's sort of a healthy zone I'm looking for if we do get this correction. If we break 22.5, where could I see prices going? I mean, you can see there's clearly other zones here. It looks like 21.5. We got all these fives. 21.5. And then, of course, like 20,500, 20,000, 20,000 itself, which is a psychological level. We're just going to make this 27.5. I'm going to keep this here. We're going to come back. We're going to come back to this chart pretty routinely. We're going to take a look at it, make sure we understand how the moving average is printing, how prices are looking. Okay, and because someone will say I didn't put it, we'll put the psychological level at 20,000, okay? So maybe I should refine what I said to be something more like, kind of like actually 21,500 since there's an area of price confluence there. So really, and you're getting this update live over what I communicated on Twitter, but really 23.5 to 21.5, that's where I'm going to put my, let me put my golden box as I always do in here. We're going to do 23.5 to 21.5, not 22.5. And we'll draw this out all the way until the beginning of November. So we want 23,500, 21. That's my zone, okay? This is my golden zone that if we do, and if we get down to 21.5, I wouldn't expect us to stay long. Keep in mind on this 3-day chart, the way you can use this, if you want to pull up this chart for yourself, if we do get this, if we do see that downside volatility that I'm anticipating, okay, I wouldn't anticipate prices to remain below as long as price action is as healthy as I believe it is, even as stagnant and boring as things are. I wouldn't expect it to remain below this moving average long, right? So even if we come down here and wick and come back up and get one candle body close and stay here for a little bit, I would expect us to start to get back up towards this 23.5 to 24 area pretty quickly. So what I'm also signaling to you is anything in this $22,000, $21,000 area, I wouldn't expect that to remain down there for very long. So that is my area if we do come down there. And you got to be realistic, guys. If we really do see that level of volatility to the downside, again, there's two important things to keep in mind. Take the emotions and put them aside. Why am I saying I have capital and I'm thirsting at the opportunity to buy at those levels? This, to me, is short to intermediate term downside volatility in a broader macro bullish structure. Don't lose that perspective. Yes, is the downside volatility that we could experience here something I was not anticipating? Absolutely. I can't forecast every single leg of this move to the upside. But even if we do see this leg to the downside, it doesn't invalidate the macro structure of the trend. Don't lose that perspective, because if you lose that perspective, you can't read a chart, you're feeding into your emotions, you don't know what's going on. You're the person that will not be buying in here. You will be the person that is not buying in these areas, in these areas, in these areas. You will be the person as we're riding it up that's buying in here, in here, in here, okay? As everything is getting a little bit more exciting. This is why it's important to be able to read a chart. Let me get to some of your comments. And real quick, ETH BTC, man. I mean, look at this thing. Healthy, very healthy. Did you catch Did you guys catch the video on the flippening and my thoughts in 2024? If you didn't check that one out, it published on Friday. But ETH is holding up very well. All right. Evan has 5,000 comments. Let me see what other comments I can get to. NVIDIA has a higher market cap than BTC and move like an... Look, Evan, I'm not disagreeing one bit that Bitcoin, when it wants to move, we could very quickly, in the snap of a finger, go from 26,000 all the way up to 45,000 in like the blink of an eye. I'm not doubting that one bit. Again, I've been here for too long not to see these markets move at a rapid pace. You know, you look at it, someone's asking about, Miroslav's asking about Alchemy Pay. I'm not saying Alchemy Pay in 1 week can't go from 1 cent all the way up to 9-10 cents. I've seen these things happen before. They will more than likely happen again until proven otherwise. But what I am saying is, what I've tried to convey on this channel is macro structure intact, but I'm seeing a lot of caution flags that we're going to see some downside volatility. And I think a lot of others who I've seen on Twitter were not expecting. Okay, we're not expecting. Just because we may see that downside volatility further to the low 20s or maybe even break 20, it doesn't invalidate the overall structure of the trend. Just keep that in mind. What else we got? Rashid, what's up, brother? Well, Evan, it depends about hedging. I mean, my hedge, because I'm an investor, I haven't sold anything. I don't plan to sell anything into this weakness or any little bounces up. My hedge on this potential sell-off and downside volatility is having capital on the sidelines, having USD on the sidelines. That is my hedge. Because here's the thing, I could choose to deploy that capital today. I could say, well, I'm gonna get into the market today. No, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient because I'm reading the charts and saying, yeah, I think there's a really high likelihood that we could see some further downside. I don't short. $8,000 left in my name. Evan, there will be a video out on XRP. I think I mentioned at the top. So I went on like a 10-minute long monologue that I recorded over the weekend because I wanted to share some honest thoughts. I think a lot of people, and I forgot to say this in the recording, and I'll hit on this before I record the TA segment because I'm going to give a TA update. But I think some people in the community who put out content on XRP, I quite honestly think that they're afraid to share some of the things that I shared. Regarding a lot of the hype that's in the community that I think is doing it more harm than good. So as always, I just keep things real. I just can't stand what I can't stand. Like, we all have pet peeves. What I can't stand is people who don't exercise logic. Like, I'm a very logical person, and people that it's almost like they're kids and they're not grown adults. With common sense and logic. I just have no tolerance for that. I think people who tune into some of my older videos in particular, Crypto Bull God has not been in true CBG form in a while, but I think some people who might tune into some of my videos and some of the corny humor I have may get a false sense, a false impression of who I really am. At the end of the day, I'm a very logical person, and I can't stand anything less than that. 30x short on a $400 30x short. Well, there you go, brother. I think, Evan, in the shorter term, just to let you know, this is just my opinion, I think we're going to see a bounce first before we roll over lower. I think we're going to see a bounce first. And actually, I'll probably put out a video on this talking about the monthly close, but I'd like to see August, the month of August, which is set to close on Thursday. I'd like to see at least, even if we roll over, as I'm anticipating, I'd like to see some bullish price action the next 3 days. Like, I want to close higher. It would be nice to get more up towards 27,500. to close the month out versus closing at these levels, closing down at $26,000 for the month. Because then what you're doing is, what you have to understand, every time frame closes its candlestick at a different point in time, right? So what I mean is, it's different for price on August 31st to close on a daily candlestick at 27,500 versus closing on September 1st at 27,500. Because the difference is you'd be closing the month out of August at 27,500, right? We don't want a medium-sized red candlestick for the month of August. Really would like to see some green price action come in the next couple days. Let's see, a lot of comments. Evan, you are dominating. Greg, crazy how the tone of your voice just sounds so defeated compared to the last couple weeks. Well, I don't sound defeated. No, I don't sound defeated. I think what you hear in my tone of voice, you're perceptive. I think what you're hearing in the tone of my voice is the reality of the charts, and I'm not overstating. I'm being careful here not to get to overstate the fact of how bearish the price action is, and I don't want anyone to walk away that I'm getting bearish on the market. That is not the case. But I want you to understand the gravity of the situation, that there are charts that are literally screaming warning flags that we're going to see some shorter term downside action. And I'm also passionate about the fact that the macro structure is still intact, and I'm still bullish, and until that's invalidated, I'm still a bull. And there's also some stuff, I mean, look, we all have stuff in our personal life too, not to go into that, but it's been a long week for a couple different reasons for me, so maybe you're hearing some of that as well. It's been a rough week, my friend, so you're probably hearing that as well. Let's see. Okay, Evan. Daily RSI is so oversold, we should get a bounce. I agree, Kevin. I agree. Before a further drop, if one occurs, I agree. We're on the same page there. Looking back, these typically have been good buy points when the RSI is this low. So, again, Evan, I'm not going to disagree with you. We'll take a look at it real quick. Just keep in mind, the higher time frames are more important than lower time frames. So the RSI, let's take a look at this together. Let's get this and draw this at the point we were here. So the RSI was at this fucking thing. 19. Wow, that is very low, my friend. Okay, you can see the RSI here was at 27. That was an awesome buying opportunity. RSI here was at 24. Awesome buying opportunity. RSI was at 29, 30 at both of these spots, and we still had better, longer term buy opportunities, but we still had, when you look at prices up in these levels, we still had like a 20% drawdown in price. Look at the RSI here, my friend. It was at 20, and price was at 18,900. Okay, so still we had a drawdown by 20%. Not saying that, that was an awesome buy opportunity. It depends on your perspective, right? Look, RSI here, 25. You see this one? Kevin, check this out. You see this wick? 25. Price closed at 28,900. Not such a great buy opportunity relative to current prices, but long-term, great buy opportunity. But it's also not a great buy relative to going down to 15,000, right? So we had a significant drawdown. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying, look, do I think buying today at 26,000 is a great long-term investment? Abso-fucking-lutely. Gotta be careful with the cuss words because YouTube might demonetize me. Do I think buying at these levels is a great long-term buy opportunity? Yes. It doesn't mean that we're not going to roll over by 20% or 30%. I'm just sharing what I see in the charts here. Just keep that in mind. Now, one thing, YC is hitting on something really good here, and I don't mind that we're hitting a long live stream today because I haven't been on the live stream in a while. I was very anxious to get back on the live stream today. But YC is hitting on something interesting. There is a lot of bearish sentiment coming back into this market. I mean, there are a lot of people getting super, super, super bearish. I feel that and I see it. That is something to keep in mind to be a contrarian potentially. Now, it's not to say we can't be having this bearish sentiment go lower and then it's like death to the world, and that's really your bottom indicator. I haven't looked at the Bitcoin Greed and Fear Index in a while. Just remember, we can remain overbought, we can remain oversold, we can remain over euphoric, and we can remain over fearful for long periods of time until we actually get out of that, right? But it is a sign, YC, that I appreciate you bringing up that I've also been mindful of is a lot of people are like super doom and gloom right now, which I am not. And I hope no one is getting that from what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that the macro picture is still very bullish, okay? It's just that what we're seeing right now for like the 12th time on the live stream is we're seeing bearish price action that more than likely will spell downside price action. We're going to see correction over the handful of coming weeks whenever this does occur, more than likely, but this is short to mid-term versus a macro bullish picture. Okay, so just please don't lose sight of that. YC, I just hit on that, brother. I wasn't sure if you were here. Based on current price action where we're closing out August, I do not see how we would make an all-time high in Bitcoin this year. I do not see that happening. No. Is my alternative theory still in play for us to top going into the halving or around the halving date, whether that's March, April, May, even June, right around that time frame? No, it does not put that into jeopardy at all whatsoever. No, I don't see that. But again, I was also cautious to say I want to see how these next handful of weeks pan out. You know, we get a sharp drop and a quick recovery versus if we do see a drop and we're teetering around here for like, a long time, yeah, it's going to change my outlook. So, but at the moment, no, nothing is putting into jeopardy new all-time highs somewhere around the halving of next year for me. Very nice, Evan. Evan, smart man, haven't sold any crypto. Smart man, diamond hands. By the way, for anyone looking for a new hardware wallet, I actually just got a SafePal recently. I've been in the process of setting it up. I'm done setting it up, and I'm going to start sending crypto to and from my hardware wallet to see how it responds and to make sure everything works accordingly. But so far, so good. It was really easy to set up. I like that the SafePal has options for crypto that I don't have options for on Ledger. So I'll let you guys know. As I start using it, I'll let you know what I think about it. But so far, so good. So, Evan, I'm glad you hit on this because I forgot to mention this. There is a portion of my portfolio that I have been counting on to be taxed at ordinary income tax rates, otherwise known as short-term capital gains taxes. For me, that's very high. I'm a high earner, so the amount of taxes that I will ultimately pay on any gains for short-term is very high, okay? The government knows how to rape you, all right? So one benefit I was thinking about as some of this price action has led me to conclude that, it's most likely we're not going to see a new all-time high in Bitcoin until, next year. And we're going to see that blow off top going into the halving, and your altcoins are going to follow afterwards. I should have some more of my portfolio that is a greater percentage that's turning into from short-term to long-term capital gains tax. Now, most of my portfolio is a long-term capital gains tax, okay, because I've been holding it for a while. But there's still a portion of it that I was counting on, well, this is going to be a short-term capital gains, but that portion may actually turn into a long-term capital gains. So that is a benefit to all of this. Greg, we can hit on that tomorrow. Yeah, we're hitting up almost an hour on the live stream, my friend. So I'll take TA questions tomorrow. Let's see. Are you trading, dude? It's the only. Are you trading? No, I'm not actively trading at the moment. I'm not sure what you mean, my friend. Jorge in the house. What's up, brother? I got to get back to you, by the way. IG was... Has anyone else experienced this with audio messages on Instagram? I have noticed that this has happened a couple times where you send an audio message, or at least you receive an audio message, and you go to play it and it won't play. You restart your phone and it won't play, and I'll go back to it like a week later and then it'll play for me. I don't know what the issue is, but I got to get back to you. That was not working, my friend. Glad to see you here. Yeah, I'm getting so frustrated with price action. Hang in there. If you didn't catch the beginning of the stream, catch it. Please don't get weeded out, my friend. Please don't get weeded out. Remain patient. In the end, if you remain patient, I can't promise you anything in life besides living and dying. But I feel very, 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 very confident that if you're patient, you will be so happy. Just be patient, my friend. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for today. I hope you found the update informative. You have a better grasp on what's going on. We're still macro bullish, but there are some, in particular, weekly charts. We hit on a couple different charts, but weekly charts that are spelling some strong warning signals that are significantly increasing the probability that we'll see further downside, short to intermediate term price action. I spelled out some price zones here for you guys. I spoke about 23,500 down to 21,500. That's my main zone I'm looking for if we do see a further correction. But again, nothing from that Elliott wave count, nothing from that fifth wave blow off top is in jeopardy. I really want to point this out or highlight that to you guys. I don't see 10,000. I don't see 15,000. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Stay away from that clickbait fear porn. Tune into logical technical analysts such as myself who are reading the charts and just genuinely going through things and sharing with you what they see in the charts. But this is what I see, and I hope you appreciated the content. If you did, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for all notifications. I'll be back all week. As always, Friday, that's always kind of up in the air if I'm going to, lately I've taken a couple Fridays off, but more than likely I'll live stream on Friday. But I'll be here all week. So, and I will be back tomorrow to answer TA-specific questions. I didn't get to any questions today. I apologize for that. But again, I try to do things in the manner that I think will be most beneficial to my community. And the thing that would be most beneficial to my community for today would be to update them on the Bitcoin chart, because that is the driver of value, and that's what I did today. So anyway, hope everybody has a nice evening. Until next time, spread awareness, carry the education forward. Take care of yourself, guys.